Hi, Neil Gittleman here with Piano Bench Chat number 63. At least I think it's number 63. The numbers get high. That was a little piece of music called The Song of the Fisherman by one of the most amazing composers I know of, a Russian emigre composer by the name of Sophia Gobedulina. We did a piece of hers about 6 years ago, a really incredible, amazing, and very strange, you have to be honest about it, piece for large orchestra called Stimming Fisherman is the German title. I don't know what the Russian title is. My Russian isn't good enough. It means roughly voices, silence. It's a piece that Sophia Gobedulina wrote for very large orchestra, arranged in a very unusual manner. For instance, the double basses are at the front of the stage, and then the cellos, and then the violas, and it's wild. But it's also one of the most mysterious and most beautiful pieces I know, and it's a piece, even though a lot of the musicians of the orchestra sort of scratched their heads and thought, why are we doing this weird thing? It was an amazing experience to perform, and I hope afterwards they look back on it and thinking, yeah, I'm glad we did that piece. So Sophia Gobedulina, for some reason, popped into my mind, and I pulled that piece out of, it actually was living inside the piano bench, and played it again. And she's a composer who sometimes uses, as you heard in that case, very simple materials, sometimes very complicated materials. Silence and sonority is a very important part of her musical aesthetic. And one of the most, I think, magical moments of that piece is right at the very end where you have this, because the pedal is held down, you've got this sonority, and then you hear all of those, that sort of big, warm chord. And then right before the end, she asks the piano player to depress these two notes, D and A, silently so they don't sound, and then you release the pedal. Actually, I was talking too much there. Let me give you the sound again. So here is the sonority. And all of that big sound disappears when you release the pedal, and you're holding these two notes, and the D and the A ring off into silence. It gives you a sense of, and I don't know if you could hear it, but as I finished, you could hear the birds in the trees tweeting outside. She'd probably like that. Probably the most unique thing about Stimming für Stumen, and my father was an English professor, so I know that things can only be unique. They can't be very unique. They can't be most unique. But this is a most unique piece of music. In the 9th of its 12 short movements, there is a solo for the conductor. The 9th movement is mostly silent. The piece has many references in it to the Book of Revelation, and there's that moment in the Book of Revelation when there was silence. And this is what she's evoking there. And during that moment of silence, it's almost about 90 seconds worth of silence, the conductor has patterns that they are supposed to trace in the air, patterns which she draws in the score. It's a pretty unique space. In fact, in my score for the performance, I actually had to fold it out so I could see the entire, because when you're doing these movements, you can't turn the page. So I made it so I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of music all at once to do it. But rather than have me show you what these amazing and strange patterns are that the conductor does, there is a little video where you can see Sophia Gobedulina herself doing it. And what you hear her doing is she's counting the beats, because as you do these gestures, you're supposed to count the beats, like 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And if you notice that that's the Fibonacci series, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, that's not accidental either. So take a look at the composer demonstrating this passage herself.
Раз, раз, два, раз, два, три. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь, восемь. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь, восемь, девять, 10, 11, 12, 13. Раз, два, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь, восемь, девять, 10, 11, 12, 13. И вступила орган. После этого раз, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь, восемь.
One reason why Sophia Gobedulina might have popped into my mind is that I'm starting to work and starting to think very seriously about the upcoming season of your Dayton Philharmonic and your Dayton Performing Arts Alliance. Early in July, we'll be announcing the 21-22 season, returning, hopefully, to more or less normal traditional performances with full body of players on stage and full body of audience out in the hall. And when we were planning this current season, the 2020-2021 season, one of the themes that was going to be part of that season at the Philharmonic was performing music by women composers, both of today and of yesteryear, you might call it. And of course, that got all bollocksed up by you-know-what. But as we return to normal programming, we're going to return to that theme and start bringing some of those pieces in. Ironically, Sophia Gobedulina is not one of the composers whose music we were going to play in that season, partially because we had done this big piece of hers 6 years ago. But I hope we'll get back to it because she does have some amazing pieces. But I guess I was thinking about women composers, and that's why this popped into my head. Thanks so much for watching this Piano Bench Chat, and I will see you next week for more. And as we go out, you can hear a little bit more in the background of the Dayton Philharmonic's performance from 6 years ago of Sophia Gobedulina's Voices, Silence. And then, of course, we'll end with silence. Have a great week.